Hi, everybody. I'm Brittany Lewis, a breaking news reporter here at Forbes. Joining me now is Esther Varet, a Democratic candidate for California's 40th congressional district. Esther, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me, Brittany.
I think if you're a Democrat and you're waking up today, you're waking up probably, I think it's safe to assume, in a lot better mood than you were around this time last year based on last night's election results. Democrats saw huge wins in blue-leaning states like New Jersey, like Virginia, like New York City, as well as California, but also in states that Trump won last year, there were smaller victories there in Pennsylvania as well as Georgia. So to start off the conversation, how are you feeling?
I am feeling really amazing this morning. I was, on television yesterday, kind of doing live reporting. It was such a resounding message that the public was giving to the Trump administration. Any candidate that Trump had endorsed or JD Vance had endorsed didn't make it far. That was not an advantage yesterday. The majority of our population is ready to move on from this chapter. As a candidate, I'm a first time candidate, first of all. Like, I am a mom, I'm a small business owner, I'm an art dealer, I represent artists and support artists. Like, this is just something that I'm personally doing for my family as taking a stand in an era where I think we need brave people to take a stand. I live right now in Orange County in Coto de Caza. Most of my neighbors, I would say 90%, are Republican. And what I have found over and over again is not necessarily leaving the Democratic Party, but a profound skepticism now in the things that they have been told were going to happen in this administration. For example, the price of living going down on day one. As we drive by food pantries and see long lines in food pantries, chaos at the airports because TSA is not showing up to work. All of these things, people are really asking, is this what we voted for? And they feel quite betrayed and confused. Yesterday, what we saw was the Republicans that had voted for Trump, the common sense Republicans that had voted for Trump, not showing up to the polls.
Back to your point on affordability, I mean, you're seeing SNAP benefits this month cut in half with the government still shut down. You're seeing federal workers not receiving a paycheck. You're seeing them in lines at food pantries. I mean, it's not a picture anyone wants to see. And especially if there are polls that are suggesting that the blame belongs to both parties, but more Americans think that the blame for the shutdown belongs to Trump as well as Republicans. If you and I were talking a year ago right now, more voters thought Republicans were better at handling affordability as well as the economy. Now, more voters think Democrats are because Mikey Sherrill ran on affordability, Spamberger ran on affordability in Virginia, Mamdani ran on it in New York City. I mean, how do you think Democrats take this win on affordability and keep that messaging up until the midterms?
What we have to continuously do as a Democratic Party is widen our tent. I think that's going to be critical for us to also be successful in the next presidential election, addressing really so many disillusioned independents and classic Republicans. Like people that are over 65, that are used to more like Bush Reagan Republicans, that are used to a certain way of life, are retired, but are now seeing that the Trump administration is not taking care of them in their retirement, that are actually making them worse off in their retirement. This is really, I think there's going to be a moment of reckoning for the Republican Party and a lot of soul searching for so many people that have identified traditionally as Republican.
And for those who identified as traditionally as Republican, maybe more moderate, maybe they're center right, they see Mamdani win last night in New York City, and they're thinking, I'm not really happy with the Republican Party right now. However, someone running and saying, hey, I'm a democratic socialist, they're winning the biggest city in this country. I mean, that moderate Republicans probably a little concerned. I mean, what would you say to them about perhaps one of the new faces of the Democratic Party?
Democrats all across the spectrum do not just count us as a singular monolithic point of view.
And to that point, I mean, you saw really two divergent paths of Democrat victories last night. You saw, like we've been talking about, the New York City mayoral race. You saw Mamdani win. He's a 34-year-old self-described Democratic socialist, has a lighter resume, and was a New York State Assembly member. Then you have Spamberger as well as Mikey Sherrill, both former or current members of Congress, both have national security backgrounds. They ran a more moderate campaign. When you look at those two paths, I mean, what is the secret there when it comes to replicating that in the midterms?
I think there is kind of a consistent message here. Everybody that won yesterday tended to be younger. The old guard in the Democratic Party have a huge task to do to elevate new voices, millennial voices like myself, people that have young children. We're really thinking about the next 20 to 40-year timeline, not the next 4-year timeline. We are really out there, not just to make investments for Democratic kids, right? Like we're trying to make investments for all children. And I think something, again, that I realize resonates in my district when I'm talking to a Republican, someone that might have voted for Trump, as they see SNAP cuts happening. As they realize that even in Orange County with a median income of $120,000, that more than half the kids in public schools rely on their lunch programs as their main form of nutrition.
You're running for the seat in California's 40th congressional district, and you're trying to flip it because there is a Republican sitting there in Congress. Her name is Congresswoman Young Kim. She's there now. But when you're looking at last night and what happened and what was really resonating with people, what exactly are you taking away for your race?
So I'm one of the few seats that got a little bit more red in the process. Basically, what happened is that the Democrats very wisely, and I was always in full support of passing Prop 50, even though it made my race slightly more challenging. What it does is that it combines two seats together into one to try to knock out one MAGA congressperson. Ken Calvert, the Republican whose seat essentially got eliminated next door, is going to try to come into this seat and do a one-on-one primary fight off. And so it's again, it's interesting, but it's also a district with 40% independents. So as we know, independents are hugely up for grabs in this next cycle. And I think if you could really, as Democrats, run on a common sense centrist platform and also run as part of like literally the non-establishment, that you can make some headway even in these red seats.
What specifically, what messages or perhaps what themes and what lessons do you think Democrats learned from 2024 to be successful in 2025? Or do you think that lessons still need to be learned from last night to implement in midterms come 2026?
The Democrats need to run and try to capture anybody that is left of MAGA. Right now, I do believe that MAGA represents an extremist end to the Republican Party. And if we can really voice that the majority of us, and you see it in MAGA, people that say Gavin Newsom is a radical, Mamdani is a radical, Biden is a radical. And literally, you're like, okay, anybody left of MAGA, you're going to call a radical. We really run on a platform of being team normal. I just trademarked that because I really think people crave a sense of normalcy again.
Now, most Americans sit somewhere in the middle, right? It could be exactly dead center, it could be center right, center left. So when you say team normal, what does team normal look like for you?
There are some people that come to me at both ends of the spectrum and they're like, define team normal. And I'm like, if you need defining of what normal is, uh, you're not a part of the club. Sorry.
And so you think by getting that you can get Republicans, Democrats, independents. Let's say a Republican though co-ops team normal, they want to be center right, you're center left. I mean, how do you combat that?
I don't think there is combating that. I think it's saying, hey, let's link arms because we're on the same team. We intuitively all know that something feels off and we don't like it. And we're desperate to change that feeling and get to a better place. And what yesterday was our first step in getting to that better place.
What do you think Democrats need to do to keep this momentum that they saw last night and keep it going to the midterms and beyond?
There are so many undecideds and independents out there that are up for grabs in this era. And if the Republican Party continues to double down that their brand is the Trump administration, they are going to continue losing folks because the economy is not projected to get better. These ICE raids are only projected to ramp up. The hunger crisis and the uncertainty around everyday living costs is only going to increase. Republicans in Congress passed the big, beautiful bill. Our insurance premiums are going to spike, and that's going to be a monthly reminder of bad Republican policy. And people are going to start losing faith in that brand. And in this moment, I think it's going to be critical for Democrats to say, you're welcome here.
Esther Kim Varet, thank you so much for joining me. You're welcome back anytime.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.